gentlemen, the checkered flag has fallen. Welcome to the Miami Grand Prix live cast reaction. Welcome to the Pitwall, your stop for fantasy Formula 1 content. And in this case, seeing how the race went, thanks Mom and Dad for joining me. Look at that Red Bull swag, like Dad said. Anytime Red Bull wins, he's going to wear that outfit. And then, Mom, look at that. You and I share the same favorite color, and you've got some Aston Martin swag. Nice. Relentless Comics, thank you for everyone who's in chat. If you have any questions, we're going to save that to the end of the live stream. But if you want to comment on what we're talking about, definitely we'll give you some shout outs. You can tell us, hi, how you doing? We got Relentless Comics. Miami, what a spectacle. Can only imagine the atmosphere. I did fairly well with fantasy, although not max points. That's true. There was a lot of points left on the table. And I might take a bit to update because there are some outstanding investigations post-race. So we will probably give you the provisional race results, but not necessarily the fantasy points at this time. But let us review what those race results are by heading over to the web. We had Verstappen on P1, followed by both Ferraris. Perez finishing off the sandwich, then the double Mercedes, and then Bottas, Ocon, Fernando Alonso. Like I said, there's some outstanding investigation about him maybe going off track near the end of the race, might get another penalty. And then rounding out the top 10, Albon. And then you have the rest of the field. And then that is our provisional race results. So I hear that Mom's here just for a short bit. So Mom, we're going to start off with you. Your pit point. Describe the race in a pit stop time or less.
That the energy in Miami was good, but I was laughing at the reporter that we saw because he was trying to get interviews there at the end with celebrities. And I kept telling your dad, why are these celebrities there? How many of them are really following Formula One, and how many there are just there to make their appearance? But that a reporter was trying to catch people, and then I was like, but that's a famous actress right there. That's Gabrielle Union. And he didn't know. So I was like, so some of these guys, they need to kind of get educated as to who some of these celebrities are, because they even went up to one really tall dude and it wasn't who they thought. And I'm like, oh my. How embarrassing is that?
Oh,
but
no.
Once the race got started, they talked about all these people like crashing, and here we go again, a beautiful start to a race and an excitement to see, okay, we've got just about everybody on there. And then your dad told me, well, Aston Martin's going to have to start from the pit. And I'm like, well, why is that? And he was trying to explain about their fuel having to be heated up and the precautions with that. So I'm glad that they stayed in the whole race the whole time. But of course, I'm cheering for Perez. Come on, Perez. Come on, let's go. And at the end, I was sad he wasn't able to overtake, the Ferrari. So, but, overall, I feel like it was a really good race. I was surprised there with that crash with Norris that just ripped off his wheel and he spun. But I was like, wow, that was so nice that there was enough space in the track that he didn't hit any walls or anything, came to a good stop, control everything. So Verstappen will forever be remembered as the winner to that first race in Miami. So good job, Verstappen.
Yes, good job.
And of course, too, I kept saying, no Hamilton going up in the thing. And then both Russell and Hamilton passed Bottas. I was like, no, that happened. But
it was heartbreak for Bottas.
I missed what happened until the replay, and I was like, oh, okay. Bottas just almost took that turn too wide and almost hit the wall. So it goes to show a little misstep, somebody could get ahead of you. So that's kind of what I got out of the race.
If he wasn't brushing the wall, you could say the ghosts of Mercedes past were haunting him to let Hamilton by. But no, like you said, it was an honest mistake, and I'm glad he didn't bend it in the wall. He got so close to just smashing both those tires in the wall, and that would have been a tank slapper. Well, there's your reaction. Chad, anything you'd like to respond to what what Mom's reaction was, and thanks, Mom, for joining us. I hear you're right at the very beginning, so thanks for taking a few minutes to spend out with us. Okay, catch ya.
I'm gonna move the
Thanks.
chair over that way.
Okay, let's go back to the two names. And we'll just do a cut. Boom, boom. Great, back to you and me. Now, I was noticing in chat, you can let me know while Mom was talking, it seems like there's maybe a little stutter in the feed on your end. I'm not sure if this is something on Discord's end or the internet, but I don't know if there's looking at my stream, it doesn't seem like there's a lag. Okay, Tamir asks, why did Kevin Magnussen DNF? Bridger says, man, what a finish. Max v. Leclerc, Perez versus Sainz, Bottas versus Mercedes. Oscar says, how would you line up your fantasy team for next week if you would do it now? Okay, like I said, chat, I will handle all the questions at the end of our live stream, so just hold tight for those. If it's a comment on what we're discussing, we will talk about it now. The lineups, I think, could be good to talk about. I won't update the fantasy results quite yet because there's some outstanding penalties or investigations that need to be resolved. But yes, we will see how that is and we can discuss that. But yeah, Dad, how did you feel with the safety car coming out? Like Mom said, it just seemed like suddenly Norris, boom, hits Gasly. I tweeted out, actually, let me share this tweet. I was tweeting throughout the race, and like a lap or two before, Gasly had contact with Alonso. Now, they ended up giving Alonso the penalty, but then it just seemed like Gasly was just not checking his mirrors, or he was just not aware of other drivers, and eventually he had that contact with Norris, and boom, it hit really bad. So I was like, he must have been driving him blind. But Dad, what are your thoughts about that whole situation with Gasly eventually bringing out the safety car by hitting Norris?
Well, it sure made it a little more exciting. I'm glad the results didn't change because of it, but it did add some excitement. I did on that crash with Norris and Gasly. You know, he did move a little to left, but Norris had plenty of room there to go. So I guess he didn't see Gasly coming over.
So you think it was a racing incident, a little bit of both then?
Yeah, because he didn't go over that far, and there's a whole lot of room left on that track.
Yeah, it was a little tricky because... Oh, sorry, yeah.
I think he thought he made enough to the left to get past him, and he didn't notice that he was going by to the left. So maybe it was Gasly's fault. Maybe he continued to the left and got the tire.
True. Okay. This is a little bit of question as it pertains to the race, so we're going to transition over that, asking why did Kevin Magnussen DNF? So there's a difference between being not classified and DNFing. So I'm assuming the multiple contacts he had with the other cars. Well, actually, let me back up. Before the pit stops, they were 10th and 11th. Then they decided to be the first ones to go on hards. And it really did not help them because they got stuck in a DRS train that hindered their ability to get back up. And they were then back to 10th and 11th, which was okay, right, when the safety car came out. So then the question was, why not leave both guys out? And we saw at first, it seemed like a silly decision to put Magnussen on mediums back behind the same group that was going to get the DRS train. But then we saw that even Schumacher had problems when his tires started fading away. And it seemed like all those cars on different tires started having contact and wrecks with each other. And so it seemed like no matter which way Haas did it, they, those tires and having the battle of their cars did not suit them well. So back to the question about DNF, he was a lap down. So I would have to look into it either because he wasn't able to cross the line before everyone else did, or they pulled him into the garage. I don't think so. But he's still classified because he finished within a certain time frame of the leaders. So that's why guys like Gasly, Lando Norris, or Zhou are classified DNF they're DNF and not classified. Like, for example, Vettel, he DNF'd and actually pulled into the garage, but he's still classified as 17th because he did it on the 54th lap. And it looks like Kevin only finished 56 laps. Yeah, it feels really bad about Magnussen. Dad, did you have Magnussen on your team?
I sure did. Him and Norris, and both of them didn't help my team out at all.
No. So, like, one of the guys on Discord or YouTube was asking me, I think it was YouTube, he was asking me about why not Albon or Bottas. And if I had run those two guys, you would have scored a lot more points because Norris and Magnussen both got negative points. So, hindsight's 2020. But that safety car really messed things up. There was a lot of consistency. Yes, it was unfortunate that Norris was out of the points. He would have lost some things, but it was very obvious how the strategies were panning out. And then boom, that safety car, virtual safety car, then safety car comes out, and then all the things were wrecking up in the middle of the field. Okay, Dad.
I think the person got helped the most by that safety car was Russell. He had not had a pit stop yet. He was able to go on mediums, which is fresher tires than Hamilton, and he was able to make it back up to 5th place.
True, and he said to the team, "Keep me out as long as possible in case there's a safety car," and that worked for him. And we saw Hamilton, who had the problem because of safety car. So it seems like consistently throughout the season, Hamilton has not been able to benefit from the safety cars, and that's because he's probably and his team aren't used to where they are in the strategy to make it quite work. Where it's like you said, Russell's like, I'll take a gamble, I'll stay out, and then it ended up paying off. If not, he probably would have started wearing away, but I think he would have built a big enough gap that he wouldn't have lost too many positions, which is where Ocon also really benefited from that whole situation. I think he had let's double check. Ocon finished in 10th. Albon finished in 10th. Ocon finished in 8th. Just think about this. Ocon started 20th on the grid and finished 8th. And that's because he was able to get those hards to stretch out and then pit right around safety car time. Yes. Relentless says, no points for Mick Schumacher. Like, I had first tweeted right at the very beginning, I was like, is teamwork going to make the dream work? Is Haas going to get double points? Man. Ted, you saw the crash between him and Vettel. How did you think that played out?
Yeah, I think that was tough. Vettel seemed to move over a little, and he didn't. And Mick Schumacher didn't give him the space, and it was sad. And like they said on the thing, hey, he was like a parenting figure to him, and this is not going to go over too well for Vettel. It's like, come on, can't you give me a break?
I bet you they're going to talk out for the race. You could hear on the radio that Schumacher was not going to cast blame, but he felt really bad, right? Yeah. He's like, where was this supposed to go? So they'll probably talk it over because that's unfortunate because Vettel was fighting for the points, and he and Stroll both starting from the pits were making that alternative strategy work. I actually felt really bad if Russell and Hamilton had hit each other, right? They were trying to keep it as clean as possible, but the last thing you want as a team is your two drivers battling on alternative strategies. And of course, Hamilton doesn't want to just give up the position, right? So you don't want there to be this huge crash.
It was interesting, though, how Hamilton made a comment about the strategies, and then all of a sudden he was ahead of Russell again. But then again, Russell with DRS got around him pretty easily.
Well, so what do you think?
The new tires.
What do you think Mercedes should have done? Like Hamilton, they tried to pit him on, I think, softs a couple times, and they kept saying no, and they were waffling. By that time, the safety car bunched everyone together. Do you think they should have kept him out or actually tried the different tire?
I mean, he got good points. He didn't like being behind Russell, but he still got points for 6th place, and so it wasn't bad for Hamilton. I think that, it was kind of sad that the safety car benefited Russell, but for the constructors, 5th and 6th, who has which one? For the constructor points, they didn't crash out, so they're happy.
That's true. Well, if you're looking at the results, Hamilton got the best that he could have. Because if he had pit, there's no way he was going to pass Russell because Russell had already pit. So he would have been behind Russell. And Would he have been able to pass Bottas, Ocon, or anyone else he would have been behind? We don't know because of the DRS trains and the midfield scraps, and they got past Bottas anyways because they forced him into an error. So it seems like he was able to get his strategy to work. It may not have been the best for him, but there was no way either him or Russell were going to fight against Perez and Sainz. Let's see some comments. Jay says, starting on hards and taking them deep into the race after bad quality seems to be paying off this season. Yeah, especially because a lot of the tires take a while to warm up. So if you take those hards long into the race and guys start pitting, you'll be able to breeze past them because they have to get them up to temperature, and then you can build the gap for when you want to switch off to your preferred tire. Tamir says
that works.
Oh, yeah.
That works for midfielders, but it wouldn't work for the top 4 people. I mean, can you imagine if Verstappen started on hard and Leclerc started on medium, how much of a gap he would have made before the tires, the hard tires warmed up?
Yeah, they would have lost a lot of positions at the beginning. Did you see how many positions Alonso gained at the beginning of the race? Like, imagine, like you said, if you were on a harder tire, everyone would just passing you, and then you would have been stuck. If you had been able to get away cleanly, because we saw the Ferraris were actually faster on the hards. And so
I think that strategy worked for anyone who wasn't in the points. You saw Russell was in 12th place, so what did they have to lose? They were already out of the points. So going on the hards and trying a different strategy makes sense for anyone who didn't already have a position to lose.
That's a good point. Good point indeed. Tamir says, at least Leclerc was a decent Mega Drive. I, on Team 2, used him as my Mega Drive, and then I decided to Turbo Perez. Because of our schedules and not being able to see anything with FP3 or anything like that, I'm happy that Sainz was able to recover. But at the time that I chose my turbo driver for Perez, he seemed like the safer option. Okay, I might lose a couple points, but on the other hand, I may not because Sainz would have lost points for losing a position, whereas Perez did not. So I think that the turbo between Sainz and Perez would have been very close, and maybe I would have lost 2 points or something with that turbo. But yes, Mega driving Leclerc means that you get 15 points for the power streak times 3. That's 45 points. Much better than using it last week with the sprint race. Well, the sprint race was good for Leclerc, but it was a debacle during the race, which got rid of his maximum points potential. And then Relentless says Russell was quicker than Hamilton. Yeah, so did you guys think who was faster between the two Haas's? Because it seems like Magnussen at the beginning of the race was catching up a lot of positions, eventually past Schumacher, but not like with team orders. He was ahead, he wasn't making inroads, and then they switched it, and then it seems like Schumacher was making a little bit of inroads. Like, do you think that it was just because of, I don't know, the tires and where they're at, or who did you think was faster between those two? We'll wait till see what chat says. But Yogesh says, glad I haven't used my Mega Driver yet. I'm very curious. Let me know in chat, if you haven't used your Mega Driver yet, when are you planning to do it? You get a Mega Drive in the first half of the season and a Mega Drive in the second half of the season. We know that Verstappen can't line up his power streak, so you have to wait till he gets a race streak, and he's starting to get reliability, so that would be good, and he should be able to still get that before the first half of the season. But then we don't have sprint races in the first half anymore. I think both of the Austria might still be first half. I'd have to double check that, but I know for sure Interlagos is in the second half. But so Relentless was able to get Max on his team. So he Mega Drive Max and he turboed Leclerc. That was the best solution if you wanted to be able to do it, is to pick Verstappen if you could get him on your team. And if you were forced into that, you probably weren't picking Norris because he was too expensive, right? So you probably would have gone with a Bottas or maybe an Albon or something. And so that actually probably played out nice with your strategies. Jay says Austria is still in the first half. Yes. Now, in my and Dad's experience, I think power streaking is much more favorable than sprint racing. But since Verstappen can't get a power streak, maybe a sprint race? I don't know. What do you think, Dad? Would there have been another opportunity in the Mega Drive, or do you think this is the best you could have done?
So I didn't Mega Drive my first Alpha team because it would actually have been bad for my ORC. Uh,
Mm.
I needed either Russell or someone over 20 million to Mega Drive to get the
Mm.
maximum. And so I'm actually on the orc because you don't count Mega Driving. And then I would lose by Mega Driving Leclerc. I would have lost 1/3 of the points for the orc elite. And
So are you
so,
going to ever use Mega Drive on your Team 1?
absolutely, I'm gonna now that the reliability issue seems to have been relatively fixed, depending in the race, anyways. Even though it wasn't the practice, I'm gonna get Max on my team, and when his race streak comes, as long as he can
Then you can Mega
consistent, then
Drive to
I'm
get
gonna
30
Mega
points.
drive him, and then I will at that point probably turbo Leclerc if he's still doing real well.
Okay, smart. Okay, Bridger says, no Mega played here yet, waiting for Max on race streak, similar with the dad just was saying. One more sprint before the break and could choose to utilize it then. Relentless says, Magnussen was quicker but harder on his tires as he was more aggressive, where Schumacher was being consistent and waiting for his chance. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Listening to Engineer, we had situations where drivers were trying to push, and it does not seem to be the best thing for these tires. You just want to build them up until you get to that operating window and then wait for your passing opportunities. And when you see drivers under pressure and they start pushing, that's when the mistakes are coming. Relentless also says, yeah, exactly. I had Bottas, Alonso, Alonso and Ocon. They came out, right? We finally had a race where Alonso was not binning it or DNFing. And of course, Ocon seems to be the big play. I had let him off my team because of his sentiment going down, but moving forward, it seems like Bottas, Ocon are really good supporting cast. Magnussen and kept Ferrari's constructor. Dad, were you tempted to try and get Red Bull in, or does it seem like even if Verstappen's winning races, that Ferrari is still going to be the constructor of choice?
So on my orc team, my alpha team, I actually already have Red Bull and Perez and Leclerc. But what I'm going to do is switch out and get Max Verstappen at some point between now and his race streak. And I might do it sooner rather than later now that he's consistently winning. Now, if he gets first or second place every race from here out, then I think he's worth his money.
Yeah, because if we're looking at who the other options are, they're not reliable enough. Like, so you could pick up Russell, but he's way too expensive if you're going to pick up Verstappen, right?
So if I have Verstappen, Red Bull, and Leclerc, I think that's a good three starting or foundation, and then add the other ones around them.
Good point. Actually, let me look at that with my team to see if there's something I can do. So we'll come like that. Go here. We'll go to web.
My second team is outscoring the alpha team at this point, especially now that I can Mega Drive them, but I didn't have to worry about the Orc Elite with them. The Orc race challenge, one race challenge.
Okay, so I scored 215 points for Team 1 and 293 for Team 2. Just to put this in perspective, the Orc last week scored over 300 points without doing Mega Drives. So, yes, I did not have the best potential. Oh, it looks like some of the points are still updating because I thought Magnussen was going to be losing a lot more points. But let's go to Spain real quick. So, Ferrari is eligible for a race streak. That's a plus 10 points. Okay, and then, no, they're eligible for a quali streak. Perez is up for a race streak. Is it worth letting Perez go if you could gain an extra 10 points? Like, because Verstappen could still be getting the points. So I guess you would have to let Sainz go. You pick up Verstappen. I know I'm way over budget. You drop Norris and you pick up Bottas. Okay. It's Ocon's more expensive, right? Man, this is tricky.
Yeah.
Because Bottas is much cheaper than Ocon. So I can't have Verstappen, Leclerc, and Perez. I could have Verstappen. Wait. You had Red Bull as your constructor?
Yeah.
Who so then do you have as your supporting cast? Did you drop Perez?
Let me get to it.
Yeah.
Let's see, Formula.
Bridger says Lando lost his race streak, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a rip.
So who I had on my team was constructor Red Bull. Then I had Magnussen, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, and Bottas.
You said you had Red Bull, Verstappen.
Red Bull, no, not Verstappen. Red Bull, Perez, Leclerc, Norris, Bottas, and Magnussen.
Okay, so you're going to have to do some heavy shuffling if you're going to get Verstappen on your team. Red Bull is eligible for a power streak. So even if Ferrari's eligible for a quality streak, I think Red Bull is going to be the play, and their sentiment is tracking upwards. So yeah, I think it's going to be hard to juggle. Let me undo all these. So let's go to Red Bull. I started doing it last race because I knew that you could only substitute 3 at a time. So I was going to take a hit this week to have even a better lineup next week. Oh, planning ahead.
And something else I found out this year that I need to know for that next year is my alpha team is the one that's put into the U.S. League and the World League and all those leagues. So my second team is actually scoring more points because I'm trying to manage the one race challenge with my first one. So next year I'm going to do it the opposite. So next year I'll have the orc that I'm supplying to the orc as my second team, my beta. And that way I don't have to worry about when to use the mega driver. I can use it at the optimal time for the bigger leagues.
True.
And so I'm just going to switch that around next year.
I don't think there's a really good way to get Leclerc, Verstappen, and Red Bull on the exact same team unless you were using a wild card. So if I drop Sainz with 9.1, I could get like Stroll, who I wouldn't trust. Maybe I'd get Albon, right?
I was going to get Albon, yeah.
Yeah, so that's negative 10 points for me because that'd be 4 substitutions. So I don't think I'll be able to pick up Verstappen this race, but I will probably make the switch over from Ferrari to Red Bull, Norris to Bottas. Well, I'll wait to see what Norris is like, but it seems like you would just go Norris to Bottas, which would then free up for then the following week to do a Verstappen, Perez to Verstappen, and a Sainz Albon. But I'm going to have to do a price points, like a price comparison picker to see if that's actually going to be good. But like you said, if you get the guy who's getting number 1, the guy's getting number 2, and you got the top constructor, that sounds like that's the way to go.
It looks like if I pick up Verstappen, Albon, and keep Leclerc and Bottas, because I have 3 to change, then I'm stuck with 8.4 million, and that would be Zhou.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm ready to have Zhou on my team.
Nope.
So I might have to do it over. I might not do it quite yet.
Yeah.
I might have to do it over 2 weeks. Like
that's what it's looking like. It's looking like a 2 week. See, this is why having so originally I was going to save my wild card for this very thing. But being able to gain so many millions with day trading, I bit the bullet, and I'm willing to do a 2 week strategy to be able to get where we need to go, you know?
Right. Especially who do you think is going to have performance bonuses?
Right, and trying to line those up.
We want to change them out before those come out.
Verstappen's
going to start getting them.
I really hope that Leclerc wins next race because the Red Bulls have been breezing past them on the straights. Monaco doesn't have that. So if he's able to be on pole position like he has in the past because he has a higher downforce setup compared to the Red Bulls, then boom, he'll be able to get that victory, and then that'll be good.
Christian Horner said that it was a difference in setup. The Ferraris had more downforce, we had more straight line speed. But that doesn't mean that Red Bull's not going to change their setup for the Monaco to make it more downforce.
Oh. So Bridger says next race is Spain, not Monaco. So in the past, Monaco was the 5th race of the season. So they put both Spain and the U.S. right in front of it. Interesting. So, man, then That's tricky, Dad, because if we're going to take 2 weeks to switch over our lineups, right, is that the best thing if then Ferrari is going to be stronger at Monaco, right? Of course, if you have Verstappen and you have Leclerc for sure. I guess we'll have to see.
It's one of those things you don't have to take if each of them are doing first and second, and how much more is Red Bull actually getting in constructor points over Ferrari, and then does it still work that difference? I did switch them out, but
next race definitely it will be more because a Ferrari can only get a quality streak, whereas Red Bull can get a quality and a race streak. So it's 10 points right out the gate, unless there's reliability issues. So if you're outscoring the other constructor by 10 points, it could be worth it. But it is significantly more expensive than Ferrari.
Since this is coming up, your mom had asked me about how do they score constructor points. I know with drivers it's like 25, and then was it 18 and 15 and 12 and 10? Do constructors go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4?
You're talking about in real life or in fantasy?
Yeah, championship points.
So they get whatever the drivers get. So if Verstappen gets 25 points, then the constructor gets 25 points.
Okay.
So that's why back in 2019, or was it 2020, Hamilton pretty much won the Constructors' Championship by himself. He was just so dominant. But if we're looking for fantasy points, I have the prices or the scores here. I can share that with everybody.
Do the constructors get the bonuses like Leclerc got bonuses? Do the constructors get bonuses or just their baseline?
Okay, well, let's... we only have the bigness. Oh, okay. So we can go from big to small. There you go. Okay, let's zoom in. 150. Okay, so this is how teams are scoring. If it says driver only in blue, this is on the spreadsheet, Dad, under scoring. So if you want to look this up while I'm showing with chat.
Okay.
If it's blue, it's driver only. In the past, there was a lot more driver only stuff. And now the constructors are getting a lot more points. So for pretty much the only difference in qualifying between a driver and the constructor is 2 points. So if Leclerc gets 2 points for finishing ahead of his teammate, those 2 points are awarded the team, which makes sense, right? Because they would always get 2 points since one of the guys finished ahead of the other. So that means if we had Verstappen, who's worth 30-something million, and Red Bull, which is also 30-something million, they're very close, about $1 million apart, right? Well, 2 points difference, right? Okay, that's one difference. And then during the race, the only difference is if they finish ahead of their teammate. So that's a swing of 4 points that a driver could have over the constructor. And you have to remember the constructor gets both drivers combined. And then, of course, if you have the sprint, it's 3 points. Oh, excuse me. It's 2 points during the sprint, 2 points during quality, and then 3 points. So it's a swing of 5 points. But the constructor gets 2 drivers worth. And so that is where that difference is. And if we scroll down here, of course, your quality streak is different for a driver compared to a constructor, but they still award 5 and 10 points. Well, yes, driver streaks are not included like you're saying, but if you think about it, if a constructor is getting doubles, then they theoretically could get the streaks even quicker than a driver would, right? Because a driver has to wait 5 races before he can get 5 points or 10 points. A constructor only has to wait 3. Now, of course, both drivers have to finish in the top 10 for that to happen. But yes. So over the course of this season, the constructors are just so much more powerful than they were in the past. Which is why getting Red Bull on your team next week is going to seem like a very strong option because of how powerful he can be. Okay, let's look in at chat. I wasn't able to read Yax, and then he retracted it. Okay, well, hopefully we answered your question. Relentless says, my points currently are 354 for the race, but not so bad. That's really good. Yeah, okay, so he's reposted it. I'm playing with one team only, and I play with Mega Driver today on Mac. Wait, you've only got one team? You're like Dominic, absolute mad lad. Keep it simple, right? You Mega Drive today, Max. You Turbo Leclerc. You had Perez. You had Sainz. You had Magnussen, and you had Haas. Oof, oof. Okay, Dad. He went with it. How is your third team, right? Are you still running the weaker constructor on your third team, and how's that panning out for you?
I am, but I was running Alfa Romeo this time instead, which I got points from Bodas, but not from Joe. So that constructor wasn't the best one. I'm wondering how many points his constructor got with both of them finishing the race, anyways.
Yeah, but that can't be that much if you think about it, right?
Alfa
Schumacher
Romeo
lost a bunch of positions, so that's negative 10 points there. And then Magnussen, he kind of gained some, but then lost some, so I'm not sure. He probably was right about where he started.
So Alfa Romeo got 3 points. So I also had Leclerc, which I had turboed, got 150 points so far. Perez 56, Russell 36, Sainz 31, Norris -2, and Alfa Romeo 3. So 274 points, but it's still quite totaling. So that's actually better than my Alpha team. Because on that team I had. Well, then again, that I did a Mega Driving with my first team. I didn't Mega Drive. So if I take off the Mega Driver for the Orc, anyways, Leclerc would have got 50 points instead of 150. So I would have been 100 points, 174. So,
yeah, it doesn't cut it when your constructor is getting 2 points. There's no way your driver can be making up the difference between having a Ferrari or a Red Bull that's scoring between 60 and 80 points a race.
Right. But that's why I have 3 teams to experiment.
The highs and the lows, right? Yassine says that, Jay says he's also playing one team. Man, all you guys with one team wonders. And you decided to play this week around streaks. The reason why I like running 2 teams is because then when one isn't doing good, the other one's doing good. But the problem this season, my teams have like the exact same lineup. One just has more money than the other. So, Dad, you're at least trying different strategies. Yassine says, yeah, I only have... What? All of you with only one team? That's a condition of my family fantasy. Oh, that's smart. So your family's playing together, and to keep things fair, you say we're only going to make one team. That's kind of like what we did with the one race challenge, right? Only submit one team to keep things fair. Jay says he had Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Perez, Magnussen, McLaren. He got 276 points with your Mega Driver on Leclerc. And then definitely going back to a strong Ocon. Oh, wait, definitely going back to a strong Con. Anyways, yes, Dad?
So they only have one team, but for the people who didn't have one team, remember whichever one at the one race challenge, that the one you submit with, you can't change it out. So if you have 3 teams and you submit your second team, once you submit the second team, you cannot change it out for the first team, even if it's not locked. So once you submit a team, it's stuck.
Play on is like, you want to join or unjoin your team? Nah, fam, you can't switch your team. Once it's in, it's locked. So it's don't get caught up by that because it's a little misleading. So whatever team you want to submit, make sure to submit that. Actually, I'm curious as to how many people join our one race challenge. Last year, I was asking people for 10 to join so I could get the custom graphics. Thank you to everyone who joins. This season, I'm asking for 50 so that we're able to have, large leagues. Let's see.
I tried looking. It says it's updating it. So
no, they won't even let us. Because in the past, we would take a screenshot of all the teams that submitted. Now we can't even know which teams are being submitted because the leaderboard's currently up. PlayOn is being smart. They're like, we know we're working on it. Calm down.
Right. So instead of having a bunch of zeros they eventually change, they just say, you can't see any of them.
Well, that's good news. That means PlayOn's working on the website. Good on you guys, trying to improve. Okay, Dad, we're at the 45-minute mark, so we're going to transition now. Like I said, if you have any questions, at the end is when we'll answer questions. I won't miss those guys who ask questions at the beginning. Here we are. We're going to transition. Dad, tell us what is going to be the game center for this upcoming podcast.
So tell me, how does time fly so fast? Okay, so this one was requested. They wanted us to identify the tracks. So this is track ID. And what I have is, I want them to name the circuit, country, and the first year it was raced.
Okay, hold on. Let's write this down. So what is the things they have to write down?
The name of the track.
Track name. Okay, track name.
The country it's in.
Country.
And the first year, the year that was first raced in.
Inaugural year. Okay, so when Dad shows you the track, okay, chat, this is your opportunity to participate in the game center that we're previewing for this next podcast. So we would need 3 things, okay? The name of the track, the country it's from, and the first year that they raced there. Okay, Dad? You're going to want to hold it up to the camera so they can see it. And the first one! Okay, chat, flurry away. What track is that? What country is it for? What was the first season they raced there? Dad, are these all currently on the calendar, or are some of these not on the calendar?
They're all this year's calendar. And I do have a hint if they need one.
Dad, keep that up there. They need to see. Oh. Okay.
Does I need to be closer?
Yeah, go a little closer. Look at that. Some applause for his great art. Okay, so is that box showing us what direction they're going? What's that box?
No, the box was showing which direction it was, but then that would make it so I couldn't ask other questions, so I just made it a box instead of an arrow.
Okay, so that's the start line then.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. So we know this thing has a ridiculous straight and has a little weird kink up in the other corner. I'm a little confused by this. Normally, I can identify the tracks really easily. I'm a little confused by this kink. So we don't know which direction it's going right out the gate, right? So
that's true.
If we're going that way, this kind of reminds me, but it's not.
You tell me when you think people need a hint.
Okay. Oh, Relentless says it is Autodromo Hermans Rodriguez from Mexico.
Correct.
And 1963.
Yep.
Nice.
Very good. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Let's get some claps out for Relentless. So I will admit, I need to brush up on Mexico. I cannot believe I could not recognize Mexico's track.
I'm glad he caught that. The hint was the country flag has an eagle. But I'm glad he got it without the hint. So that's good. Okay,
so when we do the game center, you're going to give us little hints if we're not able to figure it out. Okay, that's good.
Right.
Relentless is such a nerd. That's fine. Okay, next one.
Here's the second one. And I have two, so this is just the second one.
Okay, let me write these down. We need the track name.
This is a different one. No.
Oh, different.
No, right, this is different. I'm giving you exposure of what I'm going to ask you guys during yours. Those are 3 things I'm asking. Now there's 3 other things I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
So I'm asking for the fastest lap driver.
Fastest lap driver.
And what year they did the fastest lap.
Year. Okay, so fastest lap year.
And the Grand Prix, the name of the Grand Prix.
Grand Prix or track name?
The Grand Prix name.
Grand Prix name. That could be tricky because some of these change and stuff. Okay, so you're going to show us the track. And they need to figure out who the fastest lap was, what year they set it, and what was the name of the Grand Prix that year.
Right.
Man, Dad, I don't know if I'm going to do really good. Man, these are going to be mad difficult. These are going to be mad difficult, chat. Look at this.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, okay. I know what that is. I definitely know what that is. There's only one track that looks like a gun. Okay, guys. What was the name of that circuit?
Recognizing the track is only part of it.
Yeah, you got to tell me who the fastest lap was and what year. Well, guess what? I'll give a hint to chat. This track did some changes, and I'm assuming Dad is keeping the new changes, which means that it has only been raced 1 year. 1 year.
I can tell you a hint though, because they didn't mention that the changes would change the answer. Well, yes.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. When they change the layout, they then reset the fastest lap. So that's why I'm giving the hint. Since this was only raced last year, oops, I guess that's a name. I guess that's oops, that's too much. Too much.
Okay, so
hold on. We'll wait for chat. We already gave him like 2 different hints.
Too, if we need one.
Oh, okay. What's the other hint, Dad?
The first winner of the race in 2009 was Sebastian Vettel.
Okay. So this track has been around since 2009. But like we said, hint-wise, it had a rechanging of the track for... and so that means it reset the fastest lap. Man,
yeah, well,
I want to say the answer so bad, but I'm going to wait for chat. It's chat's time to shine.
See, I always wanted my face to look like a racetrack.
Okay, Dad, we should play this game. If you had to have a track as your face, which one would you want? You can make that a mustache.
Yeah, I could. That is interesting. I'll let you go first in this. What
Relentless is like, I really don't know. I think he's giving the rest of chat a chance.
But now you see, it might be a little challenging for you guys tomorrow.
Okay, I'll give you guys a clue. Like I said, it was resurfaced, so that means it was raced with the new layout last season. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Dad, I believe the winner of the race set the fastest lap of the race.
I do not have that data, but I believe that's correct. I would have to look that one up.
You can tell me who the fastest lap driver is, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't remember who
you don't remember who won that race?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes,
I do. I was about to say, how could you forget? How could you forget?
Of course I know who won that race. Okay, and a lot of people didn't like how it was finished.
Yep. Yeah. People didn't like how that race ended.
Okay. That is correct.
That's a lot of clues, chat.
I might have to figure out how to have a stand or something.
Yeah, you know those little thingies that have like, they put them on tables and they have like the name of the table?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Relentless says Le Castellet, 2018 Vettel. I'm going to say that you tried, a good try. I'm going to say that my clue again, that it was a track that looks like a gun. It decided the championship. That might be too much clues, but it decided the championship last year.
And the good news is I didn't ask for what the record time was for the fast lap.
You just have to tell me what year. I've kind of already told you what the year is. And you got to tell me who set the driver's name was and what was the name of that Grand Prix. Like I said, it happened last year. It was a new track surface, so it reset the track record. The guy who won the race probably set that lap record, and it decided the championship.
So while they're doing that, did you figure out what race you would want on your face? This would be a very interesting mustache if I tried to style it like that.
Yeah. Let me look this up. So it's going to be. All
right. My hands are tired.
Okay, that's fine. You can put it down. I've always liked the Hungaroring.
Mm-hmm.
So Relentless is Abu Dhabi, Hamilton,
Very
2019.
Good. Nope, like you said.
because they
When they
changed
resurfaced it,
since they changed the track layout. Yeah, since they changed the track layout for last season, then it reset the fastest lap. So I believe Verstappen on softs at the end of the race set the fastest lap, right?
That is correct. Verstappen did it last year, 2021.
Yes. Good. Okay, guys, thank you. That was Game Center Preview. Dominick, Paola, and I are going to have to do a lot of prep work. Okay, chat, now we're going to go and answer your questions as we close out this session. Okay, let's go to the top. Why did Kevin Magnussen DNF? We kind of got to that already, but I'll review for everyone. He had a lot of contact with the different battles he was having, and he was a lap down. And so when the driver who wins the race crosses the line, that's when the race stops. So if you are a lap down, you don't actually have to complete 2 laps. You just have to complete 1. So here's the problem. Verstappen finished the line, and Magnussen was a lap down, but was not able to cross the line in a amount of time that was reasonable before the rest of the pack. I didn't watch it, so that's just my answer as to why they listed him as DNF. I know Vettel for sure they pulled him into the pits. Okay, let's see. Another question we got was, how would you line up your fantasy team for next week if you were to do it now? Okay, I know that we usually wait as long as possible, but a lot of people like to switch. Now, we don't have any data, but to recap, you and I, Dad, are recognizing that Verstappen's got his reliability under control. So, yes, we have Ferrari as a constructor, and we were having Leclerc, Sainz, and Perez, but it seems that we need to start changing our team to have Red Bull for next week because they're going to have the power streak. And once you do that, now you got to change some of your time around. But Dad's eventual goal over 2 weeks of changing the lineup, because you can only do 3 substitutions at a time before you take negative 10 points, is to put Verstappen. Now, what do you think, Dad? If you were getting a power streak of plus 10, would you take the negative 10 points for an additional sub just so you could get Verstappen a week earlier?
I'd be tempted to, but probably not. Did you say Perez was, there was another person who had a streak?
Yeah, but Perez was just a quali streak, I believe. Well, let me double check. I think it's let me double check. Teams. Yeah. No, Perez is for a race streak. So Perez might be worth to keep around for 10 more points. But then that means you would have to drop Sainz to pick up Verstappen, and then it would be hard to have... Well, they're only a million apart. I don't know. I'd have to do some juggling. Okay, back to other questions. I wish Dominick was here because he would have been keeping track of this. But no problem.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I thought there was
Dominick
another
had
question in there,
work,
but I didn't
so
catch it.
that's a disadvantage for Dominick as far as a U.S. race, because most races start around 3 or 3:30. He's
already at work.
So when the races are overseas, he can see them in the morning before he has to go to work.
Shout out to Yassine, Yas Marina, Max with a 1:26.103. He even gave us the fastest lap time. Relentless says, when will you be doing fantasy review? Of course, we need the rankings to update. So because we have, let's double check the calendar. Spain is May 22. So we have 2 weeks. So we do one podcast between races. So if there was one race in between, then it'd be the week. If there is, did I say race? I mean 1 week between, we'd have to do it on that Monday. If it's 2 weeks between, we record over the 2 Mondays. Or in our case, Dad, you and I recorded the first Monday, and then we did pickups for when Dominick and Paola were available. Then we did another pickup for when Mom had all those questions about Miami. So it's been a little bit better to have that flexibility. So that's when we would do our fantasy review, is at our podcast, which would come the week before May. So yeah, you might have to wait like 10 days for it, but that's when we would do it. If you want to join in our Discord or Twitter and stuff for that discussion, that'd be fun. But that's when we'll do the podcast for that. is coming in about 10 days. I know last season I did a podcast every single week, but our schedules were completely different back then. And also I've moved and have my work and stuff. Anyways, a lot of things have been like changing since last season. And so I don't want to burn myself out. If we ever got to a point where the channel had enough money that I could like hire an editor, that'd be great. But this is our hobby and it's not like we're making that type of money. But yes, Relentless says, understood, awesome. Love the channel. Keep smashing it, mate. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're all a part of us. We're at our hour mark. Appreciate everyone. Any closing remarks, Dad, you might have or thoughts as it pertains to the race?
Well, did we cover all the questions just to be sure?
Yeah, I think we did. There might have been one that I missed, but let's double check. It was one. I guess what we need to do is ask people to put question marks. That makes it a lot easier for me to find them. But yeah, good. I think we got them all.
All right, great.
Well,
so yeah, I enjoyed the race. I enjoyed talking about the race. I appreciate everyone who's joining us on the live cast and making their comments and their questions. It just makes it a more engaging, fulfilling experience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I like the idea of the live stream because then there's no editing for me. Because like our podcasts right now are already hitting the 90-minute mark. When I first started doing this podcast with Dominick and Dad, they were 20 minutes, 20-minute podcasts. And we've had a lot of fun. It's ballooned it. But imagine if we were putting the race review and everything we're talking for like an hour then. So Yassine says, keep up the great work. Maybe at some point we'll get so good and so eloquent that we'll be able to just record all of our podcasts. Because you probably are familiar, guys, that online, most people, what they do for a podcast, they just turn on the camera and they just talk. They just talk, kind of like what we're doing now. But as you see, there's a lot of production I like to put into the podcast, and I like to record it out of order so that we can do different things. And so it takes editing. And then when I first started making the podcast, I was micro editing. As you guys can see, probably my editing has become a little bit more refined, allow a little bit more spaces. I try to make it so our faces aren't just bopping around all the place. And we're not making as many so's, like all those sounds. So yeah, we're getting better. We're doing good. Actually, I realized, Dad, you and I didn't do our pit points. So if you had to do the one pit point for the race, summarizing, what would you say?
Great race for Red Bull and an exciting one with Ferrari right there.
Great. My pit point would be that F1 hits Miami great, and that safety car changed everything. So, okay, everyone, have a good rest of your day, and until next time, we'll see you on the pit wall.